Welcome to Real Judaism with Rabbi Ari Klapper. Unfiltered wisdom for Jewish life.
Okay, here we are on Daf Kuf Mem Gimel, Perek Yudalid, Ta'anugim. Me'ata, Mahu Shir Asuda V'Matamim Shetzarech Lachin L'Chavod Shabbos. The question on the table over here is how should a person prepare their Shabbos suda? We were just talking about how we can serve Hashem through the Gashmias. We can serve Hashem through food. So now, and the person's supposed to dapka be misanik as a Shabbos, supposed to be having a lot of food on Shabbos. You should enjoy your food on Shabbos. So here in Perek Yudalid, Rav Pinka starts off and he asks, Taka, well, what should a person do? How should a person set up his Shabbos suda? So we'll see in more detail as we move on. This is a very short parak, so we will try to do the siman in Shulchan Aruch that's related to this parak. Just the disclaimer is that even if we're going to be learning this inside in the Mishnah Berurah, every person should still ask their Rav for their own personal details about what they should be doing in this particular situation. This is halach l'maisa, but we're going to be starting with the hashkafic side of it. Tanugim. How does a person set up their meals to enjoy Shabbos? V'nemar al pi mashal. We start off with a mashal. Asher muflag ma'ashirim oilam. You have a very, very rich man, the richest people in the world, right? The multi-billionaire, trillionaire, zillionaires. Kagon Baron Rothschild. Muhuder Hador Hakoit. Yeah, from the previous generation, Baron Rothschild, right? The richest men maybe the richest man of the generation. Shehigias man. It comes time for his daughter's wedding, his only daughter's wedding. And he comes over to one of us and he says, I'm getting ready for my daughter's wedding. Baron Rothschild, I want you to prepare the wedding. I want you to be the caterer. Right? You are going to be the one that caters the wedding of Baron Rothschild, the daughter of Baron Rothschild. Ritzoini shata ubnei beisacha tikchu al atmechem et melechas hakatering. Right? You're going to do it for me. Lachein avakesh mikem shetachinu machalim madonim minim miminim shoyinim. I want you to get the most wide variety of different types of foods they are. And don't forget, she'ein hasuda nikras al shmechem. This suda is not going to be known as your catering services suda. That's not how people are going to know what this is all about. Ella al shemi, says the Baron, it's going to be called by my name. Everybody's going to know this as the Baron's daughter's wedding. That's how they're going to know it. They're going to be talking about this wedding for years to come. There has never been a wedding like this bar ever. You'll never have seen such a wedding. But you remember, they're not calling it who was the caterer. They're not going to say it. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say this was the Baron's wedding. So everybody, my reputation is on the line over here. Shekulam yomru zu suda sheichin haBaron. This is the meal that the Baron prepared. It has to be worthy of my name. It has to be worthy of my name. And he continues. I don't want you to spend money for me. I have a lot more money than you. I don't want you to give me, you don't give me anything from yourselves. You're not spending a dime on this. Go to whatever stores you want. Or send a bill to me. That's it. Buy whatever you need. Anything that there is that you can make this The wedding, not of the year, not of the decade, not of the century. This is the wedding that has never been in the history of the world, right? That's what I want. Everything, send me the bill. Whatever it is, send me the bill. Not only that, I'm going to pay you very, very well. You're going to make a nice living on this wedding. Maybe enough to last you for the rest of your life. Don't worry, you're going to get paid very, very handsomely for this as well. Kain hu mamish inyan Shabbos kodesh. Says Rav Pincus, this is Shabbos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu omer lanu. Kadosh Baruch Hu says to us, Shabbos kodesh yayom shali. This is my day, like we discussed it from the very beginning. Shabbos is my day. Shabo ritzoyne lasay suda lechavoid b'ni amit archim etzli b'yom zeh. I want to make a party for all my guests, for my children. They're coming to spend the day with me. Va'amnam hasuda eino shalachem. You should know, this meal is not your meal. Ela shali, it's my meal. Ushmi nikra aleh, and everybody's going to know it as my meal. V'lachein hachinu madanit hasuda mechubedet. So you should make a meal that is on a level that I should feel proud that it should be called after my name. Says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, don't spend your money on me. Don't worry. I have all the money in the world. I'm not worried. I don't need your money. I don't need your money. Go into every store. Shetirtu v'kanu kol ma'adani oilam, and buy anything that you want. Lavoy alai v'aniya porea. You borrow the money, I'll pay it back. V'oid oisif lachem schar ala toirach shetirachtem b'shvili. And not only that, for what you do, not only am I paying all the bills that this costs, but I'm going to pay you even more for doing this for me. That sounds pretty good. So we should all go out and just spend all our money on Shabbos. That's what it sounds like, right? If a person would really understand this, he would start shaking. How could a person ever spend enough money? How could you ever get to the point where you're saying, wow, no, there's no end. That we should make a suda. This is called Hashem suda. This is called Hashem suda. By the way, this is just arrived from what we said last week and the week before, that the suda has to be called by Hashem's name, right? That's what it has to be. It has to be Hashem suda. If you make it into your suda, so maybe it's not going to be like that. How do you make it into Hashem suda? You make it a mechubad suda. It says there's kavod at the suda. You can imagine, at Baron Rothschild and they just wild and craziness. The Baron wouldn't be happy about that. He doesn't want his child's wedding, his only daughter's wedding, to turn into a hefkerus. He doesn't want that. It's got to be under his name. The suda is mechubad. Of course, it has everything that you could possibly buy. But it's mechubad, for sure. If you take that away, then it's not going to be called his name. Same thing. Hashem, it's Hashem's name.
Shouldn't have kids.
There's chinuch also. We have to try our best, right? That's why the kids leave the table. But this is it's Hashem's name. This is Hashem's suda. Hashem is called by this suda. So that's what he's saying. Hashem wants to give, so he's giving everything. The more you add, the more you bring kavod to Hashem. So how is it possible? How is it possible? You know what? I don't know how it's possible, but don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. It's not your job to get to the point where you say, oh, I accomplished it. Your job is just to keep trying. Keep going. There's no end to it. But we got to try our best. Everybody should do according to his ability. But always have to remember What are we doing? We are preparing Hashem suda. This is a suda for Hashem. We're just a caterer. We're just going out and buying it, but he's the one who's paying for it. It's his meal. It's on his name. Yes, happens to be not only preparing it, but we're the guests too. We're the guests at his suda. But that has to be the hashkafa behind it. Now, like I said, this was a short parak. And that's it. That's all he has to say about the topic. So it sounds like everybody should go out and spend all their money that they can on Shabbos for Hashem suda. So here, a little bit off what we usually do, I'd like to talk about this.
On the first Shabbos,
What?
the next coming Shabbos, meaning you can't save for the Shabbos. Shabbos comes every week.
That's right.
Now you should spend everything.
Right.
Well, next Shabbos is coming up.
It sounds like it, right? What's going to be the Shabbos after that? Don't worry, Hashem will take care of it. Don't worry, Hashem will take care of it. Again, what he says over here, kafi choloso, based on what you can do, is like a very vague statement. What does that mean? Dollars and cents. What does it mean? So here, like I said just now, we're going a little bit off the beaten track. Usually there's a Shabbos Malchus this year, and usually I do not bring things lahalacha l'maisa. Everybody can ask their own rav, and even though we're going to now learn the siman in Shulchan Aruch that is related to this halacha, to this parak, which happens to be the first siman in Hilchos Shabbos. The very first siman in Hilchos Shabbos discusses this, and we'll do it together now in the Mishnah Berurah. But again, everybody should ask their own shaylas practically what they should do, but we should see how this is brought down the halacha. The Shulchan Aruch says like this: even if somebody is dependent on others, if he has a little bit of his own, he should use that to be mechabed the Shabbos. V'lo omru, and a person should not say, Asei Shabbos kachol, ba'al titzarech labrius, that a person, this is a Gemara, in the Gemara in Maseches Psachim, a person should not say, well, your Shabbos should be like chol. It should be, meaning your Shabbos meal should be like weekday meals. Ba'al titzarech labrius, ela lemisha asha dechuko loi biyoiser. Except by a person who is very, very downtrodden at that particular time. Which means there is a tzad here in Shulchan Aruch to say that a person should not spend so much money on the Shabbos meals, and he should turn his Shabbos meals into a weekday meal. There is such a Gemara, and the Shulchan Aruch is coming along to tell us that that should only apply to a person who is in a very, very difficult state. So in general, a person who doesn't have enough money should hold back, should be a little bit more stingy maybe during the week, in order to give more for Shabbos. That's the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, let's learn together in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah here, Ois Aleph. Hinei Iker mitzvahs oinig Shabbos, nitparesh lanu al yedei haneviim. We learn the idea of oinig Shabbos through the Nevi'im, Kamoshen Emar, v'karato Shabbos oinig. Shabbos is called oinig. V'yesh poiskim, shesvir luhu di ikarohu min haTorah. Some who say that this din of oinig Shabbos is actually a deraisa din. It comes from the Torah. Shashabbos hu bichlal mikroi kodesh. Shabbos is called also the mikroi kodesh, the holy days of the year. Shanema yom hashvi, Shabbos Shabbaton mikroi kodesh. Mikroi kodesh is usually a reference to Yom Tovim. So also Shabbos is called mikroi kodesh. Mikroi kodesh perushu chazal b'sifra dahainu lekadesh lechabdo b'chsuso nikia. And what it means by mikroi kodesh is that a person should be mekadesh the Shabbos, make the Shabbos holy, and to be mechabe, to honor the Shabbos with clean clothing, in order to enjoy it through food and drink. And the Gemara in Shabbos also talks very in extreme ways about this mitzvah being mechabed Shabbos and being ma'anig the Shabbos. The kol ma'anig is a Shabbos. The Gemara says anybody who brings oinig to the Shabbos, brings enjoyment to the Shabbos, noisnim lo nachala bimli mitzarim. He is given a inheritance without borders, meaning endless. One of the Zemiros we sing on Friday nights goes b'li mitzarim nachala. Right? It's a reference to this Gemara that somebody who's mechabed the Shabbos, nistaneg b'sanugim. That's what the whole song is about, is to have tanugim on Shabbos. And the person who does it is going to reap tremendous reward. like Baron Rothschild would give, obviously, and that's on a much lower level on what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give. V'nitzo mishibud malchus, a person like that from this will be saved from the shibud of the government. So a person will come to wealth through this, because like we said, Hashem's going to reward such a person very much. This is all Gemara in Shabbos. So, but with regards to the exact halachic parameters of this, there are 3 mamari chazal that he's going to quote now. Number 1, Hada amru detzarich la'ango b'dagim gedolim v'roshi shumim v'tavshil shel tzrodim. That which the Gemara says that a person should be ma'anig with fish. We know, everybody knows the famous story of Yosef Moker Shabbos, who spent extra money on this huge fish. Nobody else was willing to spend so much money, and he ended up making back many, many, many more times because of that, because he bought that fish. So a person should have fish, big fish, v'roshi shumin. A person should have garlic, v'tavshil shel tzrodim. Tzrodim, I think, are beets, a certain type of dish. That was a very chashuv dish at that time in the Gemara. The same thing with whatever was chashuv in each particular time. Based on whatever the minhag of that time to eat this particular food or that particular drink, whichever was enjoyable. Min hastam roi b'nei adam ikar inugam bebasa b'yayim migdanos lekach ita b'simen reishnum b'sibeis the yar bebasa b'yayim migdanos k'fi yocholto. So the reason why it specifically mentions meat and wine is because that was what was used at that time to enjoy, and not so much different nowadays. But the point is, whatever is at that time considered to be an extra onig, that's what you should use. So this is the first mimer. If those who like it, those who like sushi, I'm not a big particular fan, but okay, there are those who do, right? So the Maisa, that's what a person should do. So that's the first mimer over here, that a person should spend, have enjoyable food, whatever you like. That's what you should do. That's the first mimer chazal. The second, Hada Amru, even if you only do a little bit extra for kavod Shabbos, you also have kavod Shabbos. Even if just a little bit, you also have kavod Shabbos. You also have onik Shabbos. Even if you only add a little bit. Oh, so let's see. We'll see as it goes along. So he says, "Vafilu kasa daharsana." Which is, what is kasa daharsana? He says, dagim ketanim mitzuganim b'shimonim. Fish, right? Fish which is fried in an oil, or maybe marinated, right? So maybe that's where the minhag to have herring came from. Or I don't know, gefilte fish is boiled, not shemen, but okay, maybe that's where it came from. That's that little bit that a person should have. So you see, there's another mimer that you don't have to have so much. You don't have to have so much. You just add a little bit. A little bit is good enough. And the third mimer, Hada Amar Rabbi Akiva, that which the Shulchan Aruch just quoted before, Asay Shabbos Kol. Rabbi Akiva says you should make your Shabbos meal like a weekday meal. Va'al titzarech l'brius, in order not to put yourself on other people. Va'al titzarech l'brius, make your meals, Shabbos meals, into like weekdays meals, and in order so that you shouldn't become a burden on other people. In other words, if I start spending a lot of money, I'm going to need to get money from other people in order to what? Yeah, so he says, the Shulchan Aruch said, Asay Shabbos Chol, va'al titzarech l'brius. You should make your Shabbos meals like weekday meals in order so that you should not be dependent on the people. Yeah, va'al titzarech l'brius. It's the same lashon. So what's the difference between it seems like the first mimer is saying spend all the money you got. The second one says spend a little bit. And the third one says don't spend anything. Don't spend anything. So what is the difference between these 3 levels? What is that? What's the difference? So says the Mishnah Berurah like this. The person in the first category is somebody who can. If you can, spend everything that you can to spend on Shabbos. Misha shah de chukalo b'yoser. Hainu she'ein lo rak mozon shtei sudos lo Shabbos. But somebody who only it's very difficult for him. He only has enough money for 2 out of 3 meals. But ze amar Rabbi Akiva asay Shabbos chachol bal titzarech labrius. Ve'enu mechuyev lo b'shlosh sudas lo because of the harsana. Such a person who can only has enough money for 2 Shabbos meals, so that's going on the 3rd mimer. That Rabbi Akiva says, don't borrow money. Don't borrow money from people in order to be able to make big Shabbos meals. Make the Shabbos meals into weekday meals. I mean, they shouldn't be so lavish. Thank you. And don't even have that little extra herring. Don't even do that. Make your Shabbos meal in order so that you shouldn't have to borrow money from people. You shouldn't have to put yourselves on other people. But somebody who does have money to buy 3 sudas for Shabbos, and he can buy a little bit more, he can spend a little bit more. You have to spend them on Shabbos. You have to spend that little bit extra on Shabbos. So that you could have 3 meals and that a little extra herring that doesn't have to be herring, like we said, it's whatever you enjoy. Let's say somebody has nothing. He doesn't even have enough money for 2 meals. He doesn't have anything. And all the money that he gets is from the kupa shel tzedakah. So then, then he gets upgraded. He gets the gabbai tzedakah has to give 3 meals plus the extra herring, but it doesn't say that he has to give him a lavish meals, Baron Rothschild type meals. But somebody who can take care of himself, so it's hakol lefi kvodo based on what he feels this is covered for me.
That's still talking about the gabbai stuff.
No. Now we went back.
The gabbai stuff is supposed to give him lefi kvodo. Is that what it's talking about?
Oh, you're right. That's what it does sound like from the Mishnah Berurah. That if the person is poor, but he's a mechubadik person, then he should give him base. You're right. That's what it sounds like. That he should give him the fee kavod this person. For example, if you have a Rav who happens to be that he doesn't have any money, so that Rav, the gabbai tzedakah, should give him the fee kvodo. You're right. Commotion is Barbie or a dea siman reation on gimel. I believe that's in Hilchos tzedakah. It doesn't. That does not what when the Gemara says that a person should make his Shabbos like their weekday meals. That's not what this is referring to. When a person is already being taken care of by the kupa shel tzedakah. It's only talking about a person who hasn't yet reached the stage where he needs to take tzedakah. But somebody who's already taking tzedakah, the gabbai tzedakah has to give him a full Shabbos meal and lefi kvodo. Kanal, like we just said before. And the places where the gaboim only give 2 meals, they're doing the wrong thing. I just saw now, in the last couple of weeks, the kupa shel tzedakah is advertising, that they're collecting for Tomchei Shabbos. Every week I try to collect for the kupa shel tzedakah for Tomchei Shabbos, and they want people to have chicken, so that people can have chicken for their Shabbos sudas. I remember when I was in Orach Chaim many years ago, there was a man there, fantastic Baal tzedakah, Rabbi Newman, fantastic, amazing Baal tzedakah. This man was himself was a wealthy man, but he made a tzedakah, and the tzedakah was called Chickens for Shabbos. That was the name of the tzedakah, and he collected money every week. He went from shul to shul, speaking at every shul in Kew Garden Hills, I believe. Just he was amazing, and he collected money for people to have for Eretz Yisrael, to send money to Eretz Yisrael just so they could have food for Shabbos. That's what I remember. One time, it was unbelievable. People watch him in awe when he spoke. I'll just tell you one ma'aseh that he said, and I'll try to do it the same way he did it, but it won't do it justice. The way he collects money. By the time he's done, people throwing money at him. It's unbelievable. He got up and he said it like this. I'll try to do my best impersonation. He said like this. This week we had a shiloh. We had a shiloh this week. The shiloh was like this. There's somebody who we send them money because they don't have food for Shabbos. But this family, they didn't have enough money to pay the electric bill. They didn't have enough money to pay the electric bill. So they couldn't cook their food for Shabbos. And the shiloh was, can we take the money that's only for food? We only collect money for food. Only food. Can we take the money for food to pay this person's electric bill so they would be able to cook their food for Shabbos? This was our shiloh. This is the way, because this tzedakah is only for food. Only for food. So we didn't know what to do. Could we do it? Could we not do it? We didn't know. And do you know what happened? Somebody else found out about our shiloh. And that person decided he's going to pay the person's electric bill. He's going to do it. So we wouldn't have to take the money for food. Chevra, do you know who paid the electric bill? You did! Because you support this tzedakah. You did! And by the time he finishes, he's in front of a table and the money is the table's full of money. Really, it could be till today he does it. This was 20 years ago that they were doing every single tefillah at a different place. I remember in Orach Chaim on Thursday nights. Quite remarkable. Person needs to have food for Shabbos. Back in the Mishnah Berurah, if a person has a little bit, so he should push himself a little bit extra, push it for Shabbos. He has this little bit extra, push it. Because of the harness of the chud. If he had a little bit more, spend that more money, spend that on Shabbos. The person should take a little bit less, have a little bit less on the weekday. They say even if somebody who is really having a hard time to potter midine misuda shlishis because of harnessa, even a person who is in a very difficult state, ad kedei kach, that he doesn't have to, he's potter from having the herring, and even from the third meal he's potter because he pasha doesn't have. Still, even that person should try. He should try to push himself, that he should at least have a little bit extra, a little bit of herring. Because of the harnessa. This is the end of Sif Cotton Aleph in the Mishnah Berurah. What's in our door where there's so many people would fall into the middle class or upper middle class, right? Where many people are, there are still people that need to take from the Kupa Shel Tzedakah. And Baruch Hashem, in our neighborhood, the Kupa Shel Tzedakah is very tzenua, so we don't necessarily know who falls into which category. We don't know. Baruch Hashem, it's very good so people are not embarrassed. But for those who can't afford, how much should we be spending? Should a person be spending an extra 1,000 shekels, 2,000 shekels, 3,000 shekels? How much should a person, right? The question, when it comes down to dollars and cents, probably each person should make a cheshbon for themselves, or if they're not sure, to speak to their Rav. How much, right? Because if we go back to what Rapinka says, really, a person should be going all out every single week. Every single week, a person all out, right? And how much would you spend on a wedding?
So much you could eat.
Right, that's true. But maybe you should buy the most expensive thing. Maybe instead of having chicken, we should have meat. Maybe we should have tongue, like it says by Avram Avinu. The Gemara Maseches Bamatzia says that your person should be careful if they hire workers, that they shouldn't make a deal with them that they're going to feed them. You should just, whatever the minhag hamalkum is, don't, because if you make a deal that you're going to feed them, all of a sudden you're going to have to feed them like Avram Avinu fed his guests. which is even bigger than Shlomo Melech. And it says, the Gemara there says that Avram Avinu shechted 3 cows, 3 for 3 guests. Why? What? There's so much meat. What do you need 3 cows for? No, he wanted to give each one tongue. And since there's only 1 tongue per cow, so he wanted to give each one the best delicacies that there. Maybe that's what a person has to do. I have enough money to have tongue every week. I have enough money to. So in the status that most people find themselves, where they're like somewhat middle upper class, where we're not billionaires, right? On the other hand, compared to what the situation that the Mishnah Berurah here describes, certainly all of us in our state today are living better than kings lived 500 years ago, certainly to a certain degree. And because of electricity and water and gas in our homes and whatever, it's just like, it's amazing. So maybe we fall into the category that we have to spend much more money. But maybe on the other hand, because of the expenses, and if a person does that, so then like, I'm not going to have money. What do you mean? Hashem's going to pay. Hashem's going to pay. So here we also have a person that needs to work on their amunah muscles. What can we do? So that's why I said on a hashkafic level, we can understand Hashem is paying for these meals. I have a little bit extra, buy this, buy that, right? Should we buy this? Try it. Try our best. Each person in their place, say yes a little bit more. Should we buy this? Say yes. Should we buy that? Say it. Kavod Shabbos. The kavod Shabbos. And then on each one on their level to try to do a little bit more as best as we can.
It's supposed to be for us. We say they serve by Yantiv. We say it's something better to give to Aniyim than to spend on yourself.
Here he doesn't say that.
I mean, would that be if you take from instead of spending the extra on yourself and you give it to somebody else? Would that be in the same category?
I don't know.
That'd be wrong.
I don't know. It's obviously every person has a chiyuv in tzedakah, but the question. So that's a different question. The question is, if I have extra money, should I spend it on Shabbos or should I spend it on tzedakah? Which one should I?
Shabbos.
What?
Right, it's giving somebody else Shabbos.
Right.
Right.
You want to give you one, right? So does that fall into both Shabbos and tzedakah? What does it fall into? These are all shilas that a person should ask. They ask their own rav, because right? We have to take this idea seriously. That really it's Hashem paying for it. So if it's Hashem paying for it, so then what am I worried about? Right? Hashem's paying for it anyway. We also should take into account that the more things I buy, the more my wife has to prepare. So maybe it might be a little bit too much for her. Already she's preparing 10 side dishes and 3 mains and like, okay, so of course, that's what all these Talmud places are for. Vada, not to be eating on Erev Shabbos. They're for Shabbos itself. Okay, we'll stop over here.
Thank you for joining Real Judaism, where we explore Torah's wisdom for real life. Created by J Foundations and produced by Eli Podcast Productions. Find more episodes at realjudaism.org and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.